This is the Town of Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting agenda of Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. It is 4:34 p.m. and we are in person only in room 206 at Town Hall. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the meeting minutes from the last two meetings, and we'll start with the regular meeting of February 1st. Bring it up for everybody?
No. I can next time. Any flavor preferences? Polar seltzer.
Okay. All right, so as to the February 1st minutes, does anybody have any comments, corrections, edits, or questions?
I do not. I'll make a motion to approve them as is.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, we have a motion to approve the minutes February 1st. All those in favor, raise your hand. That's unanimous, 4-0. All right, moving on to the second item on the agenda, which is approving the minutes from our special meeting on February 15th.
I will just say that I appreciated all the printed out information on the meeting we saw from Arcadis. I'm a visual learner. I like seeing it printed out like this. I appreciated it.
It's funny because this meeting had a lot of technical information in it. Martian landed and was reading the minutes. Probably wouldn't be fluid, but for us, it's, we were there.
It accurately captures the
Yep.
discussion
Yep.
and the
Oh,
presentation.
sorry.
All right, any questions, comments, concerns, edits on the minutes of February 15th? Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve as is.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor? All right, minutes are approved. What did I do with the agenda?
I just have one quick question about minutes.
Yes.
Is the handout we had included in the minutes, or is the minutes a standalone document?
I would say the minutes are a standalone document. I believe the agenda would have any attachments to it
Okay.
in terms of the record.
Okay, makes sense.
I'd like to just add, if I could, that reading through that meeting minutes from the special meeting, I think Penny did a great job.
Oh, that was Penny?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a nice way of saying what I ran.
And I'm not
Excellent
criticizing
job.
the minutes.
Oh, no.
It was more that the meeting, we're at a level of understanding and we're living it. And I thought to myself as I read this, would somebody who had no experience, and it would take a while. You wouldn't jump right in and read this and understand
I
everything that's going
think
on.
to your point is you had someone that doesn't have a background in it.
Exactly.
Going through it, I think she did a great job.
She did a great job.
To your point, I didn't hear that whole thing from you, but I concur with you.
No, thank you.
Excellent.
All right, item number 3 on the agenda has to do with 370 Hoyt Street sewer billing appeal / sewer connection discussion and action. Darren, you gonna bring us up to speed?
Would you like me to give an
I
overview?
would.
Okay.
I would.
The owner of 370 Hoyt Street is with us tonight in attendance. She approached the sewer commission, the sewer department, in pursuit of connecting her pool house to her sewer. And when we looked into it, we found out that they were not, they were connected to the sewer, however, not on our billing, in our billing system. So they were not receiving a bill for the sewer service while they were connected to the sewer. We asked them to go ahead and TV the line, inspect it, pull a permit, which they did. And at a previous meeting, we came to the commission and explained that we would probably go back 3 years. The commission agreed. I think the relevant portion of the meeting minutes are in there, in this agenda package. And as part of our inspection and permit process and locating the sewer, we did find a couple of wrinkles with, it wasn't just as smooth going as we had hoped. We did find a couple of deficiencies. I handed out a picture, there's a misaligned joint. Unfortunately, that misaligned joint is, I understand, directly under her porch, one of the steps, which is gonna require them to dig up the steps in order to get to that section and repair it. In addition to that, there is a sag in the pipe located someplace out towards Hoyt Street, near as we could tell, near a stone wall. We don't think the stone wall had anything to do with it due to the depth of the sewer, but there seems to be a sag in the pipe. We are unaware of any problems with the lateral, despite the fact that there's a sag in it. The misaligned joint is problematic, but again, we don't know of any problems. There's one other wrinkle. As part of the TV work, we noticed, or Anthony noticed, that there was a branch coming into this lateral, and that Y lines up with a clean-out in the yard, which does not appear to be the homeowner of 370's service. We did a little bit more digging and found an owner on Woodway Road who was a part of this subdivision. It appears that his sewer is connected to this sewer. Now, when the subdivision was done, the property on Woodway was intended to be connected to Hoyt Street. There was a sewer lateral left at that location, and the property on the corner actually has an easement in favor of the Woodway property. For whatever reason, apparently it wasn't used. It might have something to do with the pitch. The slope was not great enough. By going through the property at 370 and connecting to their lateral, they probably picked up a little bit of head that they needed to get to the sewer. That's the story, and
I'm sticking to it.
it's my understanding that the homeowner is willing and desirous of correcting the misaligned joint, and maybe not so much with the sag in the pipe.
Do we
Okay.
know where the sag is, whether that sag is on private property or state right-of-way?
It wasn't measured out, but I'm told that it's right straddling the wall,
So both.
so both. The TV camera apparently said 170 feet, and the guy doing the TV works also was locating the sewer as he TV'd it, and it was in vicinity of the wall, so it's probably both.
So this 4-lot subdivision is about 20 years old. House is built around 2002, my understanding.
Yeah, 2000. The guy who
2000.
owns Woodway said it was right after 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, 2002 is my house.
That was when you got the CO on your house. I remember looking that up.
Yeah, 2002.
So,
And we're not the first owners, we just bought the house in 2015.
okay, I'll get to you, and I'll ask you to introduce yourself just for the record in a second, but thank you for the clarification. All right. So if anyone else wants to look at this, if it's helpful.
I know where it is.
That's 370. That's the lot that was supposed to go through this lot, but now apparently is connected into this lot, including into this lateral.
Yep.
You got that?
Yeah, I
You looked at it
drove
before.
by and looked at
Okay, so you guys are up to speed.
So they were.
I can picture it, I think.
Thank you.
No, I mean the roads.
Yeah. All right, so, could you let us know your name and your address, actually? Yeah, you can speak from there,
So
as long as I can pick you up on this
I
mic.
can come here and speak?
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Space.
Yeah, so I'm Naga Kumarapan. I'm the current owner of 370 Hoyt Street. So apparently, we were connected to public sewer. We didn't even know that. So, we moved from Ohio to here. So I don't know anything about sewer or what we need to pay. We've been paying all other utilities. While pulling up this pool house, they wanted to connect. And they're like, okay, are you sewer? Are you septic? And we're like, not sure. And then we come here. They don't have any record of us being connected, right? And then we did the video inspection, and they were pretty sure that we were connected to sewer because all the other 3 houses around us were connected, and as they thought we were connected. Now, in discovering that with these 2 things, right, going on with the misalignment there, near our front porch steps, well, we have not experienced any issues so far. We bought the house in 2015, so this was a surprise for us. This is an issue. So I said, okay, so that's under my front steps, so probably I'll take care of it. But then the sag, as per the person who videoed it, he said it's outside of the wall. And so I'm like, that doesn't seem to look like it's my responsibility. And then I was really surprised that somebody else's sewer could connect to our sewer. And now it's really complicated, the matter, in the sense like our pool house contractor wants to connect to this clean out in our front yard, right?
Yeah.
But it's their line or my
Oh,
line,
that-
I don't know.
The easiest place to connect is actually the line coming in from the neighbor.
Yeah,
Okay, so.
yeah,
okay,
rather than
okay,
going
don't do
underneath
that.
into our basement, that's
Yeah.
going to be more expensive. So
Yeah.
he was like, can I connect to the clean out? Well, I said, well, I don't know whether I own it or he owns it, but it's running on my property. So first thing is, I need to find out if we can do that. And apparently, I understand the owner of 147, they own all the 4 properties. His dad
Yeah,
owned
they
all the
developed
4.
it, right?
And they developed it. In digging out today, I found out FGB Construction is partly owned by him, and that's the construction company which did all these 4
Yes.
houses. But I don't know how they could have not submitted anything for the sewer line connection,
My
right?
question, exactly.
They missed that one. That's a big mistake, I think. And then the other thing is, I asked him today, do you have any drawings of how yours is connecting to our thing? Well, he said he doesn't have any drawings. He can try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But I said, how deep is it? Saying he doesn't have any idea how deep it is. So I'm really surprised because this house is, in my mind, is relatively new for this town. How it could have passed inspection without, all of this. And now all of this is on me to take care of all of the issues, right? The misalignment, this, the other one, and I believe that one is 12 feet deep, so that's going to be a very expensive proposition to fix, right? So the lateral, is it owned by the state? So all of these issues are just, and my project is becoming bigger and bigger. My
Yeah,
cost is
yeah.
becoming bigger and bigger than what I thought, just for the sewer part of it.
Well, I apologize that you've had to learn all of this, but you've done a good job getting up to speed.
Like I've been kind of like, we've been trying to wrap our heads over this for the last, couple of weeks. I think I came down here and I met you a few weeks before, and then, doing the dye test, all of this stuff. And we really want to get this worked out because our other project is on hold.
Yeah,
The
sure.
pool house, we can't.
Well,
close
we
the
try to
project.
do the best we can to be customer friendly and get these things worked out. So I guess, going backwards, the way ideally it would have been done is, of course, one, the neighbor would have gone down the easement and connected directly to the sanitary sewer, and they would have their own lateral that they took care of themselves. There have been occasions where we allow connections and kind of collaterals, if you will, but they wouldn't be approved by staff. They'd be approved by the sewer commission, and there'd be some exception or appropriate reasoning, and it comes with, do you have an easement? Do you have an agreement between the 2 parties that are going to be sharing a portion of the pipe as to who gets to maintain that portion of the pipe? And so now we are absent all of those things, and it really ought to be corrected, right?
Yeah.
And I appreciate, and my hope is that all parties can cooperate to correct it. We'll certainly do whatever we can on the town side to make sure that it's either corrected in paper or in practical. So that's this situation. So we either, but before we get to the other stuff, right? If it is going to stay the way it is, the owner of the Woodway Road lot would effectively need an easement over your property to continue to discharge
Okay.
sewage through it. And that would need to be filed in the land records, map prepared by a surveyor. And there would need to be some agreement between each of you that he's responsible for his piece and you're responsible for your piece, and the part that's used in common, you would both be responsible for. So that's how to get out of it without digging anything up. You know, or they're gonna have to annoy their other neighbor and have a huge expense digging their own lateral out to the street, if that's even feasible, you know, with the pitch and inverts and everything. So that's that piece. In any case, unfortunately, I don't think it's a good idea to tie your pool house into their line. I mean, I guess there's nothing physically impractical for doing that. It's more this who then maintains the line from that point out kind of thing. You get more common line, which maybe that's not the end of the world either. So I suppose we could entertain that too. I don't know, do you guys have an issue with the connection point for the pool house?
No, but as you stated, wherever the lateral is shared by both parties, the expense for repairing and maintaining that portion of the sewer would be shared equally by both parties.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it takes care of an issue from both aspects now. You have one neighbor that needs an easement across the owner's property.
Yeah.
And now the owner would like to use some of the pipe too, so you have two people that want to resolve this, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it may expedite it.
Okay. So physical connection to that line is feasible if the paper issue is resolved. I mean, I think it's a good idea to repair that joint. That looks like a pretty significant misalignment. You know, that could lead to a break at that joint. We could get water inflow there. We could get sewer coming out there. So I appreciate your willingness to fix that joint. We don't have a video of the sag, so I don't know how
What's the effect
how
of
bad of a
that?
sag it is. You know, some sags aren't bad. Some sags are bad. I don't know if you saw the video or we have the video of it.
Now, the camera went underwater, so we couldn't tell.
Well, so it's kind of a bad sag if the camera's
The whole
underwater.
camera went underwater.
Okay. All right.
So that's what, 4 inches? 6 inches?
Yeah, I think it's a 6-inch pipe.
No, I'm saying if
How
the
deep?
camera went underwater, how deep is the standing water?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, deep enough to cover the camera.
It's
Yeah.
a
I don't know if the camera
small
was-
push camera, head
Yeah.
is no more than
2-inch head, whatever.
2-inch head on it.
Yeah.
2.5 maybe, so camera center, what, 1.25 inches off the bottom of the pipe.
Do we have a shot of it approaching? Like, I mean, I don't know.
They
Sometimes
do,
you-
I did not see the, all I know
Sometimes
is that
they
the
get it.
camera head went underwater, and that's only an indication that the camera's underwater, not.
And as long as, you know, sags are, again, minor sags, you just monitor, right? It's a flat point in the pipe, you can get accumulation there. But major sags need to be resolved because it's gonna be a problem, right? So that's my question, is this a minor sag or a major sag? And how important is it to resolve the issue?
I think it's something that the contractor that did the camera work would need to be consulted on. He did
Yeah.
the video himself. Was it All American?
Was
SNS.
SNS, yes.
So
Paul.
Paul
SNS.
did the work,
Okay.
so
Okay.
very
And-
capable of evaluating what he found or saw on the video.
Do you have a question?
Well, I was just saying, in Anthony's report, he says the sag is 3-foot sag at the 45, is that the same sag?
Yeah, I think it's length, it's the
Oh.
length of the sag, which again, that's not too bad, right? Because you can only sag so much
Wouldn't be a
with a
massive-
pipe.
Yeah, you would hope it didn't sag too far.
So we would want a map, we'd want an easement figured out between the neighbors.
Yeah, now,
Surveyor.
yes. So we're comfortable with the pool house connection to the lateral, provided that the lateral is mapped and that the care of the easement, easement exists for the neighbor, and the responsibility for maintenance of the pipe is resolved, right? So the big picture here is we want to get you to where you want to go.
Okay,
But
okay.
the stuff has to get
That should be
taken
put
care
on
of.
land records, right?
Yeah.
And for the misalignment, the other thing that I spoke to Paul yesterday, SNS, he said something about sleeve. That might be a less expensive solution, putting a sleeve so that the displacement doesn't get even worse. Because so far we've not had any issues.
Well, but, all
And he
right,
said-
I'll ask the question, all right, is the pipe misaligned so it creates a lip or a dip?
That I don't know.
It's pretty bad. I handed out pictures.
No, but I'm asking, okay, so if it's coming from the house and the pipe's misaligned so the other one is
Then there's a
higher,
dip.
then it creates a lip.
This is a dip.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know which way the camera
Well,
was
yeah.
coming from.
Well,
So does it create a lip or a dip?
No, I
I
don't
hate
know.
to sound
they
flippant.
started in the house with the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah, yeah, they
and
started in,
out.
yes, they started in the house.
And that's a lip?
Second page is a
Kind
dip.
of a jump off.
Okay,
It's a dip.
so it's misaligned down, okay.
It's
It'll be a
misaligned.
low
All right,
bridge.
thank
So
you.
The pipe outside has dropped below the pipe coming from
Okay.
inside the house.
So there's probably settling outside, and the piece that was attached to the foundation stayed where it was. Yep.
Yeah, bad bedding.
So it was not like it was an issue when they built the house.
Yeah, no, it was
Over
probably
time-
straight when they did it, but the soil
Outside your house.
outside the house settled a little
It's not
bit.
your
The-
house,
the
it's in
same-
yard,
House stayed where it
probably.
was. yeah.
Oh,
The
okay.
same way that the dip is from the bedding or the soil that's underneath the pipe was not properly conditioned.
That seems like a,
If you look at the second photo,
Yes.
it's not a great photo, but what you see on the top there is actually dirt.
Okay,
So.
Yeah, it's
so it's half the pipe.
yeah, it's like half
And
a
the
pipe.
dirt has not fallen in, it's pretty stable after all these years, but nevertheless, that is dirt above,
Did you say the lateral's underneath the staircase?
yeah.
Concrete stairs?
Yeah, the very bottom stair is where Paul marked the misaligned pipe.
Yes, it's the bottom stair.
Pushed down?
Oh, yeah, the weight of the stairs, maybe, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, I'll defer to you with more experience in maintenance, or you guys, but I don't see a slip line being a good long-term solution for that.
It looks too small.
They may be able to dig it out, get under there, and then go at it, and leave the steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
It depends how deep the footing is for the steps, it probably isn't as deep as the pipe.
Pipe,
They didn't pour
okay.
around the pipe.
Pipe, okay, so it may not be like
So
a
they can
huge,
start digging and then,
Okay.
it's only a foot, tread's only a foot, and then get at the joint and maybe do it without ripping the step.
oh, without ripping the stairs,
Yeah.
they probably could do
I mean,
it.
just guessing, without seeing it.
Yeah, we
We'll get you out
talked-
there with your shovel.
Yeah, I do it.
We've talked internally about
Yeah, I've never-
potential solutions.
Yeah.
One idea is if you can get to this in the basement, maybe put a 4-inch pipe through here
Oh,
and get past where it's dug up. Another idea would be to cut a new hole in the foundation and just move over and go around the
Oh, that's-
stairs.
oh, yeah, so you don't have to touch the
Rather than
stairs.
breaking up the stairs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know what the basement looks like, I haven't seen it. I'm assuming you have 4-inch pipe on the inside and it changes to a 6 on the outside.
Okay,
I'd
that,
say-
I don't know
There,
about
and I
that
did
part
in
of
front
it.
the steps.
Yeah.
It's only right where the first tread is. I'd start out there and then try and go at it from outside.
Well-
Because the minute you drill a
You
new
do that
pipe,
too,
it's
drill
gonna leak
underneath
it,
it.
right?
Maybe you could hit it.
Well, this is what I'll say, or what I would suggest, is, we're not gonna hold up this action because of this misalignment. You're now aware of it, it ought to be corrected. Perhaps if a sewer permit, obviously we gotta do a retroactive sewer permit, and we gotta do a new sewer permit for the connection for the pool house.
Yeah,
So maybe the sewer permit for the connection of the pool house requires this to be resolved before, that's closed or something like that. So you have some time, and while contractors are out there doing work on your pool house, they can address this kind of thing. So we don't have to stop things while you're seeking to get this fixed in the right way. And we'll let your plumber and your contractor advise you of the best way to
do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
do it, and you can
Okay.
review that with Tony when you're pulling the permit.
That could cause a clog if it.
Yeah, no, but that's a huge, well, it's the dirt, it's not a good situation.
Right.
It's
It-
bad.
I mean, it
can
could affect you.
Oh, could affect our.
There could
Yeah,
al-
yeah, yeah.
there could also be exfiltration there.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. No.
And they said that I don't have what is that? And I have to put a clean out, new
check
clean
valve?
out or something like that, or what is
Check
a back
valve.
or
Check
check
valve.
valve, check valve.
Anthony also asked for a check valve because of the elevation of the first floor of the house.
You want a
anyway.
check valve.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
You want a check.
Check
Yes,
valve,
you do.
okay,
Yeah.
so that it
That's
doesn't
the best
come back
insurance
in the house.
policy you can buy.
Okay,
Yeah, especially if you're,
I did do it. My kitchen is well below. I put in a check valve.
check valve, okay, yeah, anyway, I spoke to Paul from SNS and I said I want to take care of the misalignment and the
Yeah.
check valve.
Okay.
But he also said the SAG, that one you have to talk, yeah, because the SAG is going to be an expensive proposition, the SAG, taking
Okay,
care of the
yeah,
SAG.
because that's state permit, I mean, if it's in the state right away, he's got to get
Yeah.
a state permit to dig there.
And it's, he feels it's 12 feet deep, it'll be 12 feet deep, that's what he said. They'll have to go 12 feet under.
that's a big trench box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I've seen sags that we've let go, and they'll be fine, because she's still got enough diameter of the pipe and enough pitch that even if you do get accumulation there, kind of equals itself out over time. So I guess I can't really have an opinion. I mean, basically, I looked at you guys whether or not you think
That's-
it's a serious
The
situation.
sag is in 6-inch pipe?
Yes.
I'm hearing there's two other important things that need to be done first,
Yes,
and then maybe go back and reevaluate that SAG,
yeah.
once all the other things are wrapped up. It doesn't seem like it's causing an issue now,
Yeah,
for either one of the homeowners.
okay. So to summarize, what this first part, you know, at least this question of the fees, is homeowner intends to fix the misalignment and install a check valve.
Yeah,
That in order for us to issue a sewer permit for the pool house, the question of easements and maintenance of the sewer lateral will need to be resolved through mapping and documentation.
okay, and who, they like, that owner need to do the mapping, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Because
it's,
like- it looks like
hopefully
he didn't
everybody
have-
is willing to cooperate here, right?
Okay.
Because
Because
they-
he ought to
they-
know, how his pipe is coming and connected,
Yeah.
right?
The fact
Just
that
like
it-
how I
Yeah.
did the video inspection, he should do the video
Yeah.
inspection from his house,
When
right?
you both sell your homes later, it's
Yeah.
important to have all these things straightened out.
Yes,
exactly.
The
Okay.
lawyers charge a lot per hour at the last minute to try and.
Sort this out, right?
Sort it
Okay.
out, and it's
You're-
cheaper.
Yes, you're both better off to
Yeah.
have this solidified. Obviously, they are the beneficiary of,
Utilizing
Using
our
your
property.
property
Yes,
and your
yes,
lateral,
so,
so-
yeah,
you know, it's not unreasonable for you to say, well, I'd like you to take care of this part. But at the end of the day, we like to see a map showing where the lateral is, an easement around it, and some document that describes the maintenance responsibilities. Darren can show you examples of these things that have been done in the past, so that you've got a guide to work with, or the neighbor has a guide to work with, and that's what's going to be needed to be able to grant your sewer permit on the pool
And
house.
would we want to look at that once they pulled it together?
We usually end up looking at easements, we do.
Yeah.
And the agreement should, I mean, the second SAG that is out near the road, that also is going to be 147 Woodway's issue.
Yeah.
Well, it's a combination now, that they would
Right.
both own
So when you're
the
doing
site.
your agreements, you should make sure that that potential repair is included, because they should share the cost.
Yes,
Yeah.
if
Right.
it ends up needing to be
Right.
repaired, they should share the cost, absolutely.
and who, does the town own the lateral or the
Yeah,
homeowners?
what's the typical situation between the main and the property boundary? Who's responsible for that
Lateral's
piece?
always been the individual property owner's responsibility, because it serves that individual property owner. As soon as it's the main and serves
Multiple.
the general public,
Yeah.
that's where our responsibility
Starts.
kicks in.
Starts, okay.
Now, with that said, as you mentioned before, there are situations where laterals are shared, and there's always been a maintenance agreement so that the sewer commission doesn't get involved in property owner disputes. If they want to enter into that agreement, they agree that they will share in the cost of maintenance and repair of any shared portion of the lateral, and each property owner will be responsible for their own lateral repair and maintenance if they are the only ones using it.
Yep. So the answer, unfortunately, the question is, as long as it's a lateral serving one or two individuals, it's not
The town's.
a common sewer until it's at the main.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's correct.
All right, so do you want a motion on this part? Yes.
Take motions on
I got
anything you
nodding,
got.
I got nodding from Ed. Okay, so, does someone want to try to put this together? You want me to try to put this
Well,
together?
the first motion would be repair the misalignment.
Yeah,
And,
As part of the permit for
Yeah, as
the-
part of the condition for.
the pool house.
Yes.
Okay.
This,
And-
that shouldn't hold the pool
And
house
check
part
box.
of it,
Yeah, no, we
right?
can get you your permit, and then just like a condition of that permit is that needs to be resolved.
To close
Okay,
it out.
Check
okay,
this out,
okay.
right?
I believe you have a permit right now.
Oh, for the
Didn't Paul
pool?
pull a permit with us?
Yes, Paul already
Okay.
pulled for.
Okay, so you're
for-
going.
We
Yeah.
Okay.
gave her, Paul, who does the TV work and marked out the sewer, is also a licensed plumber and capable of pulling the permit and preparing an as-built drawing, which she's already hired him to do that.
Oh, okay, great.
And he's already done that part.
And he's done that.
Okay.
And then I'm not sure, but there was some talk of maybe him helping you with the
Mhm.
misaligned pipe.
Yes, yes,
So,
I
oh, great.
understand.
We're good there.
So I just kind of divided up, let
So
him
that's
take
already
care of the
happened.
Is it-
misaligned
is it
pipe, and
done
let
So
the other
really,
people
the
take care
the
of it.
motion then is, in order to close the permit, we need to see a as-built of the existing lateral,
Yes.
an easement on the existing lateral, and a maintenance agreement for the existing lateral,
And then
Andy.
the as-built portion for the pool house lateral.
Yep.
and the as-built portion for the house. Okay,
For
So-
that piece, and
you
then.
make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. That's clear to you, Darren?
I just had one question, it's not a condition on that, but
We haven't passed it yet, so.
does it seem as though they're gonna be able to do a check valve on the line from the pool house? Or is that all subterranean piping, basically? Only because of the shared,
That's a good
piping.
point.
It would be
I'm
better.
not that far ahead.
It would be better if she has one, just to protect herself.
That's a good point. Anthony told me that her lateral needs a check valve. But if his lateral is connected to her lateral, perhaps that ought to have a check valve too. We could look at the elevation of his house.
And the pool house lateral.
I was,
And the pool house.
just because of the shared.
Yeah, if the,
So all the three have check valves, you're saying the one
Yeah, so
coming?
the danger is that there is a backup in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's a backup in the street, sewage is gonna start surcharging in the system.
Okay,
If the street was lower than your fixtures, it would pop a manhole and it would run down the street.
mm-hmm,
That in this situation, you have fixtures that are lower than the elevation of the street.
Yeah.
So the first place where sewage is gonna wanna go is your lowest fixtures.
okay.
So this is why Susan says you don't want,
Yeah.
this check
You'll be
valve is
here
protected.
tomorrow.
I had a slightly, I had a slightly
So we want
different
a check valve
perspective.
there, and then we
Yeah.
want
With
one
the
for the
sag.
pool house also
If it
separate
were to
check
get
valve that
worse and you
side
didn't
too?
know
Oh,
about
you
it,
had the-
And then
the
they
neighbors
have
or
one for
something.
their house,
sewage
so
could
it's
actually
like all
come up in
three?
your house.
Three
That's where I was
check valves?
going, not
That's very
the
interesting.
road.
Yeah, if the sag clogs and the neighbor's effluent is coming down the pipe and has nowhere to go, and your pipe, and your stuff coming down your pipe, but anyway, okay.
I
That's
think
where-
you
that's why
want
I was
check
asking the
valves
question.
For all of
Yeah,
them.
you want,
Okay.
Yes.
or you want,
If possible.
You don't want it to back up.
I'm just,
I don't want to design from the dais,
Yeah.
so what I would say is you're gonna want
Exactly,
to
no.
carefully talk to your plumber about conservative approach.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Appropriate
My
location.
question is, you can't hold her responsible for what the neighbor does or does not do.
No, that's
Nope.
not.
no, and we're not. I
But
just
there's-
wanted to
there-
put that out
You
there.
said 3 check valves, and you're right, there should be 3.
But she
Right.
can't.
Well, but from
she's not
her
responsible.
perspective, she
Only
would
two.
try and do two.
Okay,
would do
just
first.
want to make sure it's
I mean,
understood.
it's not a condition
We'll
in the
mention it to
permit,
the
but
homeowner.
it's
It's better.
it's
from-
belt and suspenders type mentality.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I have to say, I got a lot of letters, at least one a year from you about the check
For
valve.
4 years.
Yeah. Have you received any letters about a check valve?
She wasn't getting a bill.
Oh, you're getting a bill.
There was no record of me connected to the
Well, how about your
sewer.
neighbor? Has he been getting letters about
They-
check
they
valves?
would.
Because-
I don't know.
must have.
So we have.
That's item number 2.
Okay, so I'll second it.
Okay. So we have a
Okay.
motion on the table.
Can I ask, can I go over that?
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna make sure I get it
Read me the
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah,
Read me the
read the
motion.
motion.
The motion is, as-built drawing for the existing main house sewer and the neighbor's sewer, a maintenance agreement, an easement agreement, and check valve installation.
Yes.
And the as-built for the pool lateral.
Yeah, which is already on the permit, it's already on the permit. It doesn't need to be
As-built
part of
for,
our.
the pool isn't.
The
in
pool,
yet.
no,
Can
not
I-
yet, the pool.
But
is not-
the requirement for the pool as-built is already a condition of the permit that she already has, so we don't need to
Oh,
include it in our
condition,
condition.
okay.
Did you want to put in the repair?
The sag,
No.
The displacement.
the misalignment.
You had.
Yeah,
that's the
so-
first thing
Somebody
you
say that
mentioned.
was already in the pool permit?
I thought it was
No, we
conditioned.
didn't issue the pool permit yet.
Oh,
She came to us and asked if she can connect her pool house, which
Sure.
she's going to build,
Repair the-
into the existing
Repair.
sewer, and that's when we discovered.
Covered all these things,
add it.
yeah.
I'm sure she's gonna do it, but go ahead, add
Yeah.
it.
Add the
So we don't
misalignment.
forget.
Okay, and the correction of the misaligned joint.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
But-
as-built,
Five.
maintenance agreement, easement agreement,
We're not
map,
voting yet, there's gonna be time
I
for
have a
additional
question.
discussion. Just,
map, check valve, and misaligned joint.
Bob, did you have a question?
Yes, because as a condition, we were asking, okay, as a condition of her permit, we're asking her neighbor to do the as-built. Is
No.
that proper?
Up to the property line,
We don't care.
right.
It needs to be done, and we don't care who does it.
Well, but they should be doing it, right?
I don't
That's what-
disagree.
Because
I'm
but
that's
you're
their
both
portion
in-
of
asking.
it.
The reality is you're both involved, right? It's your property, unfortunately, and it's
So
half
it's
your
my
lateral.
duty, it's my duty to tell him that he has to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we need
So
to
you
have-
won't be informing him that he has to?
So, well, it's a good question. We're happy to facilitate a conversation, but ultimately, you're gonna have to be talking to each other, because you're gonna have to agree to something.
Mhm.
But I'm sure Darren would be willing to talk to the owner of that property.
Spoke to him this afternoon.
Yeah.
We didn't get into any of these details. It was more
Yeah.
whether he should show up here tonight or not. I invited him and asked him if he would come.
Okay,
He must be busy.
okay.
So.
We will do everything we can to
Yeah.
help facilitate those conversations.
Okay.
To explain.
To explain, yeah, because he said he wanted to talk to Anthony. When I told him about all this, he said, let me talk to Anthony.
Yeah.
His message was like.
You've done an amazing job with
Yeah.
a very complicated issue,
Yeah.
and obviously you've handled it really well.
Well, I was like, I invited him to this meeting too, because I thought it'd be easier if he's here too, but maybe
Yeah.
he couldn't, because I told him 4:30 today, and that's why I was trying to get hold of him
Yeah.
today.
So do you want to move this forward? And I've got one other thing that,
Are we ready to act on the motion?
So we're including his as-built in this motion.
The motion is that there is an as-built of the existing lateral, including the part that goes towards the neighbor. That there is an easement over the existing lateral, including the part that goes towards the neighbor.
up to the property.
And that there's a maintenance agreement that covers the common portions of the joined laterals. And we're also throwing.
Check valve, map, and misaligned joint.
Yep.
See, Bob, I
And we're
wouldn't
on that.
include his property.
Okay, that's fine.
He's burdening her property.
That's fine.
I mean, and look, this was listed on our agenda as 370 Hoyt,
Yeah,
and, so we can twist arms if,
it would be great to have it
Yeah.
ironed out for both of you.
yeah.
He should know where his pipe is too.
Yeah,
Well,
like just
yeah,
like how we know,
I'm gonna
right?
bring that up, that he needs to do an as-built of on his property.
We would
Oh,
suggest
yeah,
that,
yeah, that's true.
But that's a separate issue, so that, I was just making sure that
It's
A
not
is
the
here and
property
B is here. Okay,
Maybe we
I'm
could
good.
Maybe we could kill two birds with one stone and get everything we need from both properties.
Yeah.
I think
Sure that-
Mark can be.
I'm sure that a contractor that does work in the town of Darien and has to
It's
pull,
kind of work.
and has to pull their own sewer permits from time to time, would probably want to keep you guys happy.
He might be good at this.
Happy is such a long way away. Content would be okay.
Very
No,
subjective.
listen,
Not
he's-
frowning.
He's always been very cooperative with us, and
Okay.
we haven't heard anything different from this.
So,
neighbor, so.
Okay.
let's just,
We'll, like I said, open lines of
as
communication.
I said the last time.
And I
every
think
once
he
in
has a
while, we
plumber
hope
license
reasonable
also. I
people
already
do
checked him
reasonable
out.
things
We-
when
you know, we've
presented
been
in
lucky.
He does
reasonable information,
construction,
so-
so he should be more
He'll
familiar.
understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a motion, we have a second, staff is clear on what the motion is. Is everybody
Yes.
here clear on what the motion is?
Yes,
Who's
now I
first?
am.
I moved it.
Reese,
First, second.
Yeah.
Reese, and then
Bob,
Bob.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Okay, that was issue number one. Issue number two are the fees. So we have a house that has been connected to the sewer since 2002. And the first owner enjoyed the benefits of our sewer system for free for 13 years. And you have bought your house in 2015 and have enjoyed the benefits of the sewer system for free for 7 years. We get these situations from time to time. Maybe a couple a year we discover these issues where maybe there was an open sewer permit, or there wasn't a sewer permit, or there was a clerical error, and someone is in this situation where they haven't been getting bills. And our policy has been to go back no farther than 3 years to request fees for the sewer user fees, so back 3 years. We have been, again, we've done that between 6, 10, 12 times since I've been here. And most folks realize that they got a deal and so forth. So do you have any questions about that?
Yeah, it's just that, okay, just everything's just coming on at the
Yeah,
same time.
no, I get it.
Much more than what we had.
And I do feel for you. This
Much
is-
more than what we had
You're like,
thought.
I just want my pool house.
Yeah, I just want my pool house, and then I discovered all these things
Why
and
do I-
fixing all of
Yes.
these things, right?
Yes,
So that's why I was like, okay.
understand.
So that's why I asked if you can charge going forward,
Yes.
but it's, if you've been doing it all for everyone else.
And if I could act by heart, I would honor that request, but
Okay.
I have to act with some
Yeah, if you've done
precedent
that for
and
others, then,
fairness for
yeah.
all
That's
the
absolutely.
users.
What you do, always do.
Consistency with others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine then, yeah.
Now,
Go ahead.
on the good news, you have title insurance. When you bought your home,
Okay,
the lawyer who did your closing most likely sold you a policy.
okay,
That policy defends your title.
okay,
This is an easement you knew nothing about.
yeah,
So some of the costs could be borne by that policy. So
Oh.
whoever did your closing for you, when you
Okay.
purchased the home,
Yeah.
reach out to them.
okay,
and
the
say-
lawyer,
The lawyer.
Okay.
You're gonna need a little legal help too to write the agreement with the easement, I think.
oh,
Or-
for
Or
the
review
exchange.
Or
the
review
easement
it,
written
or
by
the
the other
neighbor.
parties.
It's a good idea. That may cover a lot of this.
No, okay,
That's what it does.
Okay.
You now have somebody burdening your property and asking for an easement,
yeah,
which makes your property worth less money to some amount.
okay,
But they have a right to use part of your property for
Party,
their
party,
sewer.
party. Yeah, okay.
And they are using it currently.
Yeah, they were
And you
already using
didn't
it.
know that ahead of time.
Okay.
So that's exactly what you bought insurance for when you bought your house, most likely.
Okay.
So-
Do you need us for something, Linda?
So I would reach out.
Reach out to the lawyer and
Yeah,
ask
reach out to
him.
the lawyer and just say,
Fine.
here's what's going on.
Okay.
And can you help me?
Yeah,
And
okay.
How does this work, and will my policy cover me
Okay.
for whatever my loss of value or cost to sort this out,
Okay.
whatever that process might be.
Okay, yeah,
And
I
they can
think
be
that's
really
okay.
helpful for you.
Yeah, okay, because I wasn't even aware of somebody else using the property, right?
Yeah.
Right, no, you didn't know, yeah.
And I'm just like a little surprised that when they built it, they didn't think about.
It's unfortunate. There was a period of time that unfortunately records keeping wasn't where it is now.
Yeah, okay, because I asked them and they don't have any maps of any of these thick sewer
It
lines,
happens
nothing.
once in a while. I mean, these guys are unbelievably good, just incredible, but it's complicated, there's a lot going on
Yeah.
all the time.
Okay,
And
All right.
okay.
Any other questions? Or?
So that easement that you were talking about, we'll need to get it done through a lawyer, the easement?
Well, lawyers do legal language, that's
do-
their,
okay.
surveyors do, you mean.
Yes,
probably
it's
need a
usually,
surveyor.
yeah, it's a land surveyor that would prepare a map to show the location
Yeah,
of the line and then show where that easement is going to be.
okay.
And so it's a land surveyor's map that ultimately gets filed on the land records.
Oh, okay.
And then an attorney will usually take a look at that map, create the 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that says there's an easement, this is who the beneficiary of is, this is who the property owner is, and here's the maintenance agreement part of it.
Okay,
Then
How
that
much,
piece of
who
paper would
pays
get-
what for what
What and
repair,
all of
who
that
has the
stuff,
right
right.
to enter the property when, or how big the easement is to let a backhoe dig it up if it has to, all that would be,
Yeah.
both parties are
okay.
surveyor and the attorney.
And then once that is there, when I sell the house, then I.
Yeah,
talk
clean
to
it
It's
them.
all- it's all-
Then someone
all on the
knows
record, everybody
exactly
knows.
what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you good?
yeah.
All right,
okay.
thank you very much.
You know, if you ever
Thank
want to volunteer.
Oh,
on-
wait.
on a-
Yeah, we seem to be a big study.
Thank you.
Motion on her request for the fees to be waived.
Oh, yeah, you want to.
Oh, okay, so,
If I could, there's a motion from February 1st.
Okay.
where Hill first, second, passed unanimous to charge for 3 years. If you make a motion, it would be to deny the appeal.
Okay, okay,
I unfortunately make a motion that we deny the appeal.
okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, further discussion?
Okay.
All those in favor?
Okay.
Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, item number 4, this is
Thank you.
regarding 24 Pasture Lane, discussion and action, down off of Nearwater, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Darren, you want to bring us up to speed?
A lot of the same. Come on up and have a seat. Mr. Eric Rovig is with us. He's the owner of the property. I haven't been quite as involved in this project. I'll try, do my best, and match up with what the memo says here. We found a house, it turns out it was connected. We did the same thing. Let's do some TV work, get a plumber, let's do an as-built drawing, let's do some retroactive inspection, and in fact, there were some problems found. Some of the problems, there's one bad, the only way they were able to do this inspection, is my understanding, it's a ranch or a house on a slab where they had to actually remove the toilet to get the camera down in there. And then there's a portion of the sewer that was not accessible, the camera couldn't make it through, and the homeowner explained that they don't even use that bathroom for that reason, because it doesn't work. So there were some deficiencies here, in addition to the bill not having been paid, because apparently we didn't know they were connected, I believe. And luckily, we don't know of anybody else's sewer on this property.
Hey, we have one complication we can remove, that's good. Yeah, reading this narrative, seems like the lateral's in pretty poor condition.
There's an house. Oh.
There's an obstruction, a few slight sags, a few bigger sags. So that's a piece of your property that's not functioning well, right?
Yeah, I can provide a little more color. I'm not as well versed as the
All right,
prior
just,
person.
just for
but-
the record, provide your name and address.
Yes,
She was
Eric
good.
Brovik at 24 Pasture
Bovig,
Lane.
Mr. Bovig.
Brovik, yes, correct.
Bovig.
Yep. Yeah, so we bought the house last year, April, almost a year ago, April of last year. As part of the closing process, the attorney identified that the town didn't have record that the house was connected to the town sewage. So
Okay.
upon further diligence, actually back to 2002 as well, they pulled up a memo that the septic was properly abandoned, and there's a record with the health department, but for some mystery, it I guess didn't translate to the
So
to
the
the town
plumber
sewer.
contractor at the time didn't pull a sewer permit,
I-
was the most likely reason.
Okay.
And then didn't close the sewer permit either, but didn't open one. Okay, so 2002.
Yep.
Another one, from the same year,
Same
Vintage.
vintage. Okay,
Yeah, I passed out the
Yeah.
Yeah.
septic
Yep, okay.
disconnect.
that's helpful.
That's what that is.
So I guess, any other background?
No, so fast forward to today, so when we learned of that, so I called the town, Anthony, and asked how the process, so
Yeah.
we were put in touch with, I guess Kevin Ortega, Darien Plumbing,
Okay,
who going through the permit work, and as part of that, did the video camera, and that's when I identified the, I guess the dips or sags that you mentioned.
okay. So you heard our explanation of the fees, which.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, you said, yeah, go ahead.
So
You
in
didn't know
November
that
of
either.
last year, I paid, I think it was almost $400.
That sounds like the or minimum fee or well charge.
I'm sorry?
Go
No,
ahead.
A little higher than that.
I wasn't sure what the fee was for.
Oh, okay.
You know, we'd been in the house for 6 months at that time. So, you know, I called and was said it was not back fees, so I assumed.
Was
that-
it was sewer user fee?
It was, it was a sewer service is what it says.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Okay.
$368.84.
That's not the minimum,
That's a little, it's, yeah, but
because I
it's,
get the minimum, it's in the 200s.
Yeah, minimum's in the 200s and the
270
well fee's like 500.
Yeah, a little more. So that's odd.
Yeah, so they had to have used the previous year's water bill, because you pay
Okay.
a sewer bill based on the previous year's water bill
Okay.
for the residents
Lagging.
in advance. So you're paying in the end of October for the year
For
ahead.
future, okay.
Yes.
Do you
I
have
see.
a copy of that, or do you
I
any
have,
information
I
associated
took a
with that?
snapshot on my phone, I could
Yeah,
forward it if that's helpful.
yeah, maybe email it to Darren.
Sure.
I'm
Because
curious.
if they were paying all along, then
Is there an address, or is it your address, is it your name on it?
It was my name, Eric Brovig, 24 Pasture Lane, yep.
Okay. Do we need the collector or Penny to look into this a little bit deeper? Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
Whatever records that the property owner can provide us
All
would
right.
be great.
Okay.
and it is
Definitely follow
interesting, so, the other wrinkle here is that you've only been in the house for a year.
Right. That was my question. Right.
Yeah, which is an interesting wrinkle in terms of trying to back charge for time he wasn't even in the
Yeah.
house.
we asked about that one.
Yeah.
I won't say who, but we did.
Yeah, we talked about
That one, that could be a differentiating circumstance perhaps. Or we could talk about it.
Extenuating?
I just didn't want a Congo line for him,
Yeah, exactly.
because it could happen.
Yeah, it could.
Everybody buying a house would be
I don't want to say anything. Okay, well, we'll cross that
So-
bridge next month when Penny does
Yeah,
the
it sounds like we
due
need,
diligence
the tax
on
collector and our staff member need to look into the fact that you did get a charge to see if, has this property getting charged or not, make sure we get that all sorted out
Do
to
we
get the
need a
right
motion
bill.
for repair work, et cetera, to separate these two things?
Excuse me?
Do we need, do you need any permit for fixing what's, no, that's our staff.
Sorry.
She watches.
She-
at home.
she does.
I guess we're so entertained.
Hi, Penny.
Hi, Penny, you did a great job with everything.
Yeah.
Pretty incredible, the dedication.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay,
I understand the rest of the
Um,
stuff doesn't work.
okay.
Come on.
Hold on, I'm gonna say it out
It
loud.
can't be that
Penny
easy.
said that he paid for a year and a half because he had just moved in.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
only bill that you paid, and that's why you paid it.
And the owner before?
And the owner before did not pay, correct? The owner before did not pay.
Oh, well.
Is 368 1.5 times the minimum charge?
No, you really.
Yeah, 24 pasture.
That would
Now,
be about
it was $358. That's for the year and a half.
Yeah, you were right.
Does that sound right? Okay, that's for last year, and there was another bill that was sent for $59 and change for the previous half year.
Okay.
So it sounds like
We're
we're
current.
billing and
We're
we've
current.
got you.
Sounds like
And it was
he's caught
prorated.
up.
Yeah.
with
So we don't have to do with
the
the fees.
No.
Okay. So
Well,
the-
but we have to,
Thank you very much.
normally,
That does it.
we go back 3 years, so I think we
Thank-
need to
thank
make a
you very much,
motion
Paul.
to differentiate and explain the extenuating circumstances that he was not the owner for the past 3
Would
years.
you like to
Is that
make
a
that
motion?
motion?
I will. I absolutely
It
will.
sounded like one. Correct.
Since Mr. Brovik was not the owner for the previous 3 years, he is only responsible for paying the portion of the bill which.
For which he was an owner.
For which he was an owner, which he has paid. So it does not owe us any further sewer usage fees for this year,
Due to this unique circumstance.
due to the extenuating circumstance, yes.
I'll second that.
Okay. Got that, Darren?
Poor Darren.
Darren, or should we ask Penny? She's got
Hutch
it.
was second. Okay.
We good?
I'm with you.
All right, so motion on that, seconded, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye, okay.
That keeps us consistent.
Now,
Yep.
I guess I'm asking Darren, do you need any action from us or decision from us to resolve the sewer permit? We have uncovered deficiencies that are effectively the property owner's problem, for lack of a better term. You know, do we need to hold up a sewer permit? Can we issue it with the
No.
conditions that, yeah?
No, again, Darien Plumbing pulled the permit
Yep.
in order to do the work that he did. I assume he's gonna give us an as-built drawing.
Okay.
That's why he TV'd and located it,
Yep.
located the sewer. The problems that he found, what we would probably do is enter something in the land records if corrections weren't made to alert a potential future home buyer. That's what we would do.
Okay.
If the commission thinks that there's another route to go, glad to follow your direction. But
Would you put that in the land records?
we could.
Well, so the question is,
Or
now
you could
that
repair-
you have this information, have you thought about what you're gonna do about it, or
Yeah, my thinking was speak to Kevin and find out
what you should do about it?
what I need to do about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I mean, there's at least one bathroom that's not working, my understanding.
It's work. I mean, it could be better.
Okay.
So the reason.
I haven't seen it.
No, no.
It
Sorry,
doesn't
just
flush
to,
very well. Could be the toilet. I was-
so just to clarify, so I have a 3-year-old son, and that's his. So we have like a porta potty there. So
Okay.
that's why we don't use the bathroom, because that's his sort of like we've made that his.
I got
it.
So
Okay.
sorry to be.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Too much information.
Yeah, this is where we go. It is the
Yeah.
sewer commission.
Yeah, we can handle that.
I think I've seen it.
Well, I think that does make sense. It's only fair in terms of it being able to issue and close out a permit that we identify the as-built condition of what's there. And then it's up to the homeowner at that point to do what they think is the right thing to do based on the information that they have.
That information will definitely be in his lateral file.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's perfect.
Exactly.
That's generally where a homeowner would come and get any information, or a realtor or a lawyer when they're going to close on a house.
I'm hesitant to
So
put
that
anything
information will be
on
there.
the land records that isn't permanent, maintenance issue.
And records if he repairs it, or whatever
Yeah, exactly.
updates or changes he makes.
Yeah. So if you do make repairs or updates, let us know, because we can add that to the file.
Okay.
Okay, so as-built drawing, definitely.
Yes.
And
A record
either
of
it's
the
repaired
as-built
or
condition of
it's
the
not.
pipe
And if it's not,
in the lateral file.
it goes in the lateral file. Record into the lateral file of the outcome.
Yep, exactly.
And I think that's consistent with what we've done in the past.
Yeah.
Okay.
So motion required, so, do you need a motion? Yes, you would like a motion, you always
Yeah,
like.
sure.
No?
Yeah.
He said, no, actually, he shook his head on this
I
one.
like it.
You really?
This is something in the normal course of business, you think?
I love motions.
If you'd like a motion and you want to entertain it, you go right ahead.
Motion to require an as-built and a documentation in the lateral file of the as-built condition of the line or its improved condition.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Okay. All right, the proverbial gavel is now going to be handed to our vice chairman, Mr. Bob Hill, as I
Yes. I
take a
know.
quick break outside.
I was prepared.
Wait to come back. I'm recused from item number 5. Please let the record note when you announce Bob.
Yes. So it's 3 is a quorum, correct? We have to vote on it? Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll inspect it if you do any work.
Just wondering what a lateral file, they have a file on lateral?
Yes.
Thank
They
you.
would, that's where you would have, I would assume that's where an as-built would be.
In the lateral file?
Yes.
Okay.
It's,
That's
it's,
not the size of
it's,
the
it's a
cavern.
lateral,
Is that a vertical file?
it's not the lateral as in,
The lateral file?
it's a file on the lateral for the property located at.
Okay, good. That's a good place to put it.
It's just,
Yep.
okay. Is someone gonna give us a little synopsis here, or?
I thought we were getting a presentation.
It's the vice
No,
chair.
no, this is the presentation, the paperwork.
Well,
No, I thought someone
That
was
I-
doing it.
Bob
Okay.
Hill asked about this, so we included it in the agenda package.
I asked because, I'll explain. Okay, flicking through the channels, saw channel 79, saw planning and zoning, and heard that they approved however many units it was here. It's, well, I think it's over 100 bedrooms, and yet it doesn't come to us.
They should come to us.
And we don't vote on it.
But didn't we see the one over for
Well-
Old Town Hall Homes?
Staff required the developer to prepare a sanitary sewer capacity analysis. And they did that. And we made some comments. We provided them with information. We had them analyze our Chasmer Pond pump station. The developer's engineer went a step further and carried it to 5 Mile River and looked at the flows there. we were satisfied with the report that we handed to you. And I do believe that it was included. I didn't know that's where you were going, but now that you mention it, I'm pretty sure the commission has seen this before, and we did ask for
This?
capacity. Well, no, the issue. I'm pretty sure that the issue of the change in use did come before the commission at some point.
I don't think so.
No?
No.
Not while I've been
Maybe
here.
I'm thinking of East Lane?
That could be East Lane, yeah, but we did see East Lane, but that was an existing nursery school where the
Yeah.
use was intense.
It was changed to,
And it was, you could argue like for like.
yeah, maybe I'm
Yeah, we did
thinking,
look at East Lane.
but I know that the commission said, let's look at this, and we looked at all of Old Kings Highway North. And then when this came along, we asked for a full capacity analysis. I thought it went before you. It was a long, long time ago. Maybe not. But you have it now,
But
and we've
Darren-
already vetted it. We think that it's
No, it's
good,
very well
and
written.
it proves that our Chasmer, they did some pretty intense work and showed that our Chasmer Pond sewage pump station is more than adequate. We went the additional step of requiring them, providing them with the information and making them make sure that they weren't taking up any capacity of any houses that are already there or properties that are already there that are not yet connected, because we,
The 79 houses, yeah. I've read this.
you read it.
I've read it.
Okay.
The 79 houses out of the 239.
They also included the inflow that is
Yes.
coming in.
The one thing I didn't see them include, and maybe it's just me and knowing too much, but they were saying they were just working on a daily thing. And there's peaks. There's pretty much 2 known peaks in a day. 7 a.m., 7 p.m. And they didn't do it. I didn't see an analysis on that.
You didn't see a peaking factor in there anywhere?
I saw a peaking factor, but I don't know what they mean by a peaking factor.
Well, that's
They
what it
also
is.
talked about was it a Williams equation that I don't know about?
So it
Okay.
is a Williams.
So to me, that kind of just is
The Williams
speak
equation.
that I don't know about.
That doesn't have anything to do with the peaking factor. The peaking factor is more related to the size of the sewer shed. So, I guess the best way I can explain it is, somebody up in North Mansfield, is really not gonna have any effect on the sewer down here, right, because it's too far away. However, the smaller the sewer shed is, the higher the peaking factor is. If you have a small area and a very short distance to get to the point of concern, and everybody flushes at 7 o'clock, as you say, and takes a shower, that's when the peak flow rate of the sewer will be the highest. So it varies between 1 and 4. The smaller the sewer shed is, the higher the peaking factor would be.
So think of it as a funnel, and it's how big the funnel is going to the bottom of the funnel,
Yes.
basically. So, but what I'm saying is they said it was basically a couple gallons less than one of your pumps for their peak. What they considered, the way I looked at it, their peak from the daily average. But if you have a peaking factor, the peaking factor said 3.3. So if the peaking factor is 3.3 and the average just carries 1 pump, how does it cover? You don't have 3 pumps, you only have 2.
That's right. That's true.
So the daily average times 3.3 would mean that you need, and it just covers it with your 1 pump, would mean you need 3.3 pumps at Chasmere Pond, no? No.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know the peaking factor, I'm
Well-
sorry, it's Greek to me, so.
There's a couple other factors that go into the design of the pump station, which how big is the tank? And so when you say peaking factor, yeah, it would be good. A drop in equals a drop out, but there's also the tank that fills up, and the
And the
pump
floats.
runs a little longer in those situations to account for the peak.
But what's the buffer in the tank between the high and low flow?
Well, that's exactly what
And
they
what's
looked at.
there, and that was my other question, their tank, I didn't see, because they're saying that their max gallons is 79 gallons per minute from their pump, but I didn't see the size of their tank, so the run time of their tank, if their tank starts to empty at peak, how long is it going to run for? Because not only are they emptying their, I'll call it the float, the difference between the two floats, plus they're going to be doing the inflow at the same time. So I'm wondering how long their extended pump could be adding to the beginning of this system, because this is the beginning of this watershed or beginning of one leg of the water system, of this watershed, if I read the map correctly.
It's on the outer limits of this watershed.
Yeah, so that would be the beginning of a branch.
So if someone flushes a toilet there, how long does it take to get to the pump station to add to the volume?
And it'll
To your
probably,
point.
it's gonna miss the peak.
I mean,
It will take that long?
It's gonna take, it's the furthest point away.
Right, but you gotta, that's one thing I've been asking about the whole sewer shed. What happens when it all goes at once, if it rains and we have an eye? What does it do at the points where we have problems?
You understand it,
figure that?
it all has to come down, it's all at the same time. Like you just said, the sewer shed has to be inundated with the whole at the same time.
Right,
And-
but if you're using a time period like 7 PM, and somebody flushes their toilet on the top of the farthest place from
Yeah.
the sewer, in the sewer shed, how long does it take to get to the problem area?
Well,
And
that-
relate
but-
it all.
But that's not how they calculate sewer max flow.
I
and
know
daily
that.
flow. And that's not how they evaluate pumps. And that's why we have them do the reports the way they do it. Now, Bob, your point is well taken. What's the wet well size? What's the runtime on the pumps? Daily, max?
I mean, I just have a different perspective than the Williams equation, because, I mean, I didn't even get a chance to look it up to see, what it was referring to, so that I had some kind of an idea. I felt like I was on a slippery slope, because I just didn't know where I was going with that.
Pretty sure it's the Hazen William,
Hazen Williams.
which is related to the force main pipe, a pipe flowing under pressure. So that would have nothing to do with the peaking factor.
Okay, then,
One is,
well,
one is
from
the,
Chasmere Pond, is it it's force main? Yeah, of course it is.
Yes.
Of course it is, don't.
Yeah, so that goes under the railroad tracks, over the hill, then it dumps in the 5 Mile River pump
And
station.
And I'm assuming the address is not 148 Heights Road, as it's listed on the map in there. It's 148 Raymond Street,
Yeah,
It's a Raymond Street address.
because it says Heights
wrong.
Road.
yeah.
I mean, I have read this. I haven't had a chance to read it as well as I want, but I've read it. And I think if I read it more, I'll have more questions.
And
Because it also mentioned that it's raising the flow 8.4%. So I think that's a substantial enough amount where, number one, we should get a presentation, and number two, it should go from, since that's from the end of a branch, it should go all the way to
Yeah.
the Stanford line. I mean, it's now an issue where you don't know where the confluence, the biggest confluence point is from source to, pumping to Stanford.
well,
Or does it get better as it goes down the system?
it has to.
But it doesn't.
But it doesn't.
But does
No,
it?
no,
It says right in these meetings, that the old Kings Highway South in the Stony Brook meter area has critical defects, starting at the manhole a little west of Andrews Drive. That is where the 5 Mile pump station force main discharges. So if you're discharging from Chasmer's Pond, I mean, I'm guessing here, but you're going from Chasmer's Pond to 5 Mile River to Stony Brook. Stony Brook has critical defects. Why is this not an issue?
It just runs a
To
little
the
longer.
layman
It just
here.
runs a little longer.
Just runs a little longer,
You're-
that's all.
You're trying to apply an 8% number to a finite time, and it's not. It's flows calculated over a daily use of a facility, and those flows can come at any time. And they can spread out over the whole 24 hours, or they can come in a 5-minute interval. And you're looking at it as if it's coming in a 5-minute interval, and it's not.
No, I'm not, but I know there's peak times.
Yeah, but the
And-
pump is
So I'm
gonna run
wondering
at
if the 8.4, I understand that too. I
It's gonna
mean,
do what it's gonna do. It's not gonna, that's not gonna change. It's just how long the pump runs. The pump, if you had,
yes.
if you put a
but you're
hotel
saying-
right on the
But what I'm
Chasmer
saying
Pond.
is if the water coming in is higher than what the two pumps can do, then it can run all at once. We don't want an SSO. So that's where I'm concerned about. I understand the running and that, but it said that if again, I have to look at the numbers closer, but I thought the flow it said it was creating was like a couple gallons less than what one of the pumps was rated for. Now that's clean. We all know how they're rated, and what you can actually get out of them may not be that number.
Okay.
So it may be a second number,
So the
and if you're
daily-
peaking on top of that,
The daily flow
yes.
is a couple gallons less than what a pump can handle.
But they were talking about a gallon per minute time. Like I said, I read this in an
A
hour.
daily
so-
flow, a
Yes.
24-hour flow.
Yes,
Is what, you're not going to pump that in an instant from the pump. It's going to come over time.
yes,
And during that time, that's why they do a peaking factor, as a matter of fact. They take your daily flow average and they put the peaking factor on to say, okay, what if it did come at an instant? What if it came right at this certain time, or a tight window of 7 to 8 in the morning, or at night from 7:30 to 9:30, people take their showers or to go to bed. All those things, that peaking factor tries to address that and then provide a flow, and you are to identify what your pumps can handle at that time, what your wet well can hold, and if you have to run 2 pumps, what are the pump curves on those? Can you handle the flow from that? That's everything this report did. That's why Darren looked at it and was satisfied with not only Chasmar, but them going over to 5 Mile to see what it was pumping out of there and what impact it had on our pumps during their flows, the existing plus the proposed.
Yes, and we were lucky to have the 5 Mile numbers based on our Arcadis study, which we shared with them. I would add that Patrick Schur, the engineer responsible for this, offered to come, and I said, I don't think it's necessary, but I know he would be happy to show up, answer all your questions, and I've written some of your questions down, so.
I guess conceptually, if we're dealing with single connections, laterals, why isn't this in front of us? Why isn't it a larger scale project, something that we vote on and look at? And I'm not saying you guys don't vet it from an engineering standpoint perfectly, but our questions go further than the 5 Mile pump station. Like, how does it relate to the whole system? We have problems in the system. Does this affect that? And how? And that's something I'd ask the engineer who's presenting it. And just say, and that's what since I joined this commission, how is the whole thing working? It's an ecosystem. It's no different than when we studied drainage. Susan and I were on a commission for 1.5 years studying drainage. And it's complicated, and some of the models work and some didn't. And how does it fit in the system? How does the whole thing work with this much added? How many more of these can we add, even if we start fixing things?
Okay, so for April, we'll put it back on the agenda.
No.
I
bring
have
it-
one more question, and we don't have to
No?
put it back on an agenda,
No.
but I do have one more
No.
question for you. If if this gets built and the houses that could connect, but aren't connected, connect, is this Chasmar's Pond maxed out?
not
No.
according to this, no.
Not at
No.
all? How many, so there's a lot of capacity left in Chasmar's Pond to add even more development in Darien?
I believe the number it said was, it's at 54.8% capacity. But I also don't know what kind of a
He hasn't
safety
memorized, I
buffer.
don't.
Is that including
Well,
the
I have
houses?
that.
I'm just,
My
like
No,
I
is
said,
that
right now I'm
including-
regurgitating what's in here
Is that
because I
including
haven't really disseminated it as much as I like to.
Okay.
And it's not, I'm sorry if I put you guys on the defensive. It
No.
wasn't meant to do that. It
Not
was,
at
We
all.
need an education.
Yeah.
it was
Not me.
meant to say that something of this scale, and I can't make the motion because I'm here, but something on this scale, and I would say 8 units or above, should be brought in front of us. And we should be voting on it.
Even if we're asking questions that aren't
So let's do
normally
it.
in the scope.
Let's do it.
I'll make that
I'm-
motion.
I expected that we would come before you because you folks instituted connection fees. I fully expected that we would come back to you and say, hey, how much are we going to charge these guys? But I can assure you that Patrick Schur, he wants to come before you and answer all your questions.
Could we do that?
Well,
Let's do that.
those fees here, according to this, somehow created 58,184. I don't know how we got 184, but okay.
Connection fee according to the sanitary
Yeah,
sewer.
sure.
Yeah,
That would be cool, Darren. Why don't we do that? Do you wanna do that? I'll make a motion if we can, do this, bring it back next month, and Patrick can.
Okay, that's one, but then do we want to do something for further on, or do we want to have?
I think as a policy, I'd like to see this.
policy-
Even if I ask strange questions that aren't always engineering, Craig can handle the curveballs. I've been throwing them at him for 20 years.
But
So-
maybe Craig should weigh in on that. So
Yeah.
That was my other,
Let's
that was,
reserve that motion till Patrick.
well, we'll have to, well, either that or we just pull new business and
Pull
just
new
do
business,
it
there you
now.
go.
Part of our job is meeting people in the grocery store and explaining this in a nutshell. And not
Just get it loud.
everybody, not everybody who comes in is as savvy as our two applicants.
I walk
tonight.
around with my
They're
sewer
incredible.
commission T-shirt all the
No,
time.
you know, every now and then people come out,
I think
right?
Susan has a hat.
Yeah.
The only person I've had
I
is,
hide. So, anyway, my interest is also when are we going to, what I always used to ask Craig, so when does
When's
the
it-
camel,
yeah.
when does the straw break the camel's back, Craig? And this was in stormwater, but I got the same question here.
That's what we looked for. That's why we asked for that report that you have. But again, I can assure you, the guy wants to explain it. He's very proud of his work. We sent it back. We asked him questions. You have more
It's-
questions? Let's get them answered.
Unbelievably
I think
well
it's just clarification questions. I'm sure he already
Okay.
thought of them. I just don't understand them because I didn't make it all the way through engineering. I started out
done.
and,
You've been in a few manhole covers, so I'm sure sometimes there's an education on.
There's still time.
Yeah.
no
You're
thanks.
young.
And again, if at all you thought it was me questioning your abilities, it wasn't. It was just the
It's the
fact
process.
that I thought we should have been included in the process.
And you asked a good question, why wasn't this done? And I'm sorry, it's not the norm. We don't bring them in front of you. Look at the buildings that are going up right now.
But we
They're
did,
all reviewed by us.
we did East Lane.
And we did the town
Oh,
hall. I
Federal.
thought the other
We
ones
did
were
Corbin. We saw
done
the whole
before.
relocation of the sewer on Corbin.
For that piece, what about the analysis done by Ty and Bond on the velocities and flows on Post Road?
I
think,
thought there was, because we were
I was on a
told it was so
different commission.
flat getting near the highway.
It's not the norm.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to make it the norm, make it policy, that's fine. Give me the limits and what you want to see, we'll make sure they come in front of you.
Well, we saw Old Town Hall and Homes because I just started when we did that one,
That was the.
Yeah.
or whatever you call
I
it now.
forgot the permit.
That one was a little bit different for some reason.
Yeah, we had known problems down there, and you, the commission, said, yeah, let's put some meters in and make sure that we have
We
capacity.
saw Palmer's, the flat pipe in the road, Heights Road. That was a commission action item, wasn't it?
You didn't see federal, I don't think you
It's
saw.
not federal, but we did see Palmer's. I think Maslin.
And it's been inconsistent at best, and maybe that's my fault.
Would it be
But
helpful?
If you guys want to come in, you want me to bring them, that's fine. Tell me what you'd like to see so that we don't miss you.
All right, let's
Yeah.
think about that and we'll come back with a motion when
Okay.
Craig is here,
Okay.
so that he can,
What about the previous, do you want him to come in? It'd be a good learning experience.
I think it'd be great.
Good
I would
young
like
man,
that.
knows his stuff.
I'm
I
being
think
selfish.
It may educate us all.
Yeah.
I know nothing.
I'm more than welcome to be educated.
So why don't we,
Let's do it.
do we need a motion, or do you want us just to put it on the agenda for
Let's
next
just
month?
put it on the agenda. I don't think
I mean, because if you're educated, then you can ask astute questions. And I'm sure some of the ones I'm asking are not astute.
You can ask the
Pretty
other ones
close.
too if you want. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All
Okay,
right.
Bring it back.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
Go get 'em.
Oh, it's Craig's.
Yeah.
sure he
So we
loved
could do it in
ceding the
this-
chair to me.
No, you did a
Oh,
good.
he really recused himself. He
You
went
only
out of
spent an
earshot.
hour
He
reading
He
that?
recused himself?
Oh, there he
I only
is.
I didn't even spend an hour and the dog was bugging me to go outside.
That's right. You did a good job.
How we all doing?
Good.
We missed you.
Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, new business.
Are we at?
As long
No,
as it's Bob's new business.
it is.
Well, we're not at new business yet, so we're on to the
I'm sure
superintendent's
you heard
report.
me across the hall. I don't
I can
even,
probably hear you downstairs.
my wife is cringing at home, not even watching the thing.
First item, Nearwater and Stony Brook Pump Station hardening. We met out at Stony Brook and Nearwater on the 11th of February with the chairman of the sewer commission. Okay, Thursday, we took a look at both locations for elevations of the impending floods that we may see in the future, and tried to determine where we'd want to harden to, what elevations, what type of permitting we might need, what obstacles we could run into with utility companies, any slight modifications that we could start to do now. We're just starting to get, at Stony Brook, we have soil scientists we're trying to nail down. They won't, the new EPC person won't accept the old records. They'd like us to go back and do it again. So we'll make that happen.
Records for what, the elevation or
The wetland delineation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, that's not paved there?
No, there are some wetlands.
There's some wetlands from the old map he'd like us just to clarify.
You
that.
verify.
So we're gonna do that for him. I did talk a little bit about permitting with him also. He said once we get the map and stuff, we'll sit down and go through what we would need to do as process goes. Once we have the map also, we're gonna get a hold of Eversource, get them back out there. We do have to show some elevations on the maps before we drag them back out to Stony Brook, as well as Nearwater.
Is the generator an issue there too?
Which location?
At Stony Brook?
Yes. Yeah. That may,
Yep.
on the lift part of it, determine height
Controls inside?
issues. There are some controls inside that we'd like to get a little higher.
It's yeah, I mean, what we strategized about in both cases at Stony Brook and Nearwater were near-term modifications that we could do quickly that would harden us to a higher elevation than the current stations are hardened. But that we also needed to look long-term at more difficult solutions to get each station effectively compliant with the most current floodplain regulations. You know, that's a multi-year significant job at each station.
I think if we work out it over time, I think something that Craig and I talked about was,
There are
budgeting
options to do a bit at a
to start
time.
working these little things in, and trying to, I think, focus on where we feel our biggest problem is, and I think it's sitting at Stony Brook. Though Nearwater being coastal, you're concerned about it, but my fear is Stony Brook right now.
Yeah,
And that may subside as we reduce I&I. That may calm us down a little bit more, but I still think we need to get that thing so it doesn't lose power ever over
Yeah.
there, so.
It's a tricky site. You've got wetlands, you've got the water course, you're in a floodplain. It's a tight lot with close property boundaries.
Noise
We
issues.
could end up at VPC, at PNC, at CBA. Keeping.
ARB in there too.
Yeah.
If I touch
Yeah,
the building.
We can work
Yeah.
through that. That's
And
one
there's
phone
a-
call, the right color brick.
Make it look
They
like
have
a
light they
lighthouse.
like.
Easy.
You know, if you remember, I don't know if you guys remember if you were on for Road Yacht Club when they came through, but where their
I was-
transformer ended up,
Yeah,
right?
you and I
It
talked
has
about
this
that.
big deck around it so that you can
Yep.
stairs up, you can access it.
Full safety
you
rail.
know, And that's where we would be headed in this situation as
Oh,
well.
wow.
So it's but, Ida was our wake-up call. We had water starting to seep in the front door sill of Stony Brook Station.
Wow.
During Ida.
And something I learned too, it was coming up out from the toilets, right from the
Oh.
water
Yeah.
seal,
Really?
from the water pressure from the
Because I was gonna ask, can you seal doors like you can submarine doors?
You can, that's a part of that's a solution that we discussed in for
Can we
both
put a screen door in it?
options. So we can,
Flex seal.
so again,
But that won't help you with your toilet.
yeah, well, but in well, you can do it.
Maybe a check valve.
Check valve.
It was coming in from around the fixture. It wasn't coming out of the fixture. It was actually
Oh,
where the
from
pipe came through the
hole
floor.
in
There's an
the
opening.
slab. The
Wow.
water, literally flood water through the hole in the slab.
Yeah.
Yeah, so exactly, when you start to, we talked about hardening, but you don't know where the holes are.
How
You don't know
long
where
do
the
you
holes
hold your
are.
fingers for, right? If it gets up 2 feet and it subsides in
Getting
a
it
couple
anyway,
hours,
so.
is that good enough? Right? Did the little trickle coming from under the toilet or whatever, did that not make it to your electrical components in your VFDs and stuff that are in there?
But again, so
Absorbing
going back in time, right, we know that the elevations on the flood map changed in 2013.
Yes, they did.
Right, so what was once compliant,
Mhm.
right, is no longer compliant. And then based on those new numbers, which have.
Seem accurate.
Seem accurate, you know,
Or worse.
the whole station would have to be, you know, probably 3 feet high.
And those are submersibles?
They,
The pumps?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, the pumps won't stop.
The
It's the,
V-
it's the power and the controls.
Yeah, the
I didn't
controls.
know if they were submersibles or
Yeah.
drive shaft and motor up top.
There used to be.
Yeah.
And I think we changed those.
That was the first
just
thing
before
I
you
did when
came
you got
on
here.
The board, or the commission.
First thing you did when you got here is change the 5 biggest pumps in town.
Yeah.
Made them all submersible.
They scared
Drive
me.
shafts are-
Operating
Doing to clear
propellers
those
on.
pumps.
Drive
every
shafts are a
day.
pain, though. You gotta keep,
Did you ever see what you saved in electricity from those?
We might be able to.
I dropped about 25%.
It's great.
Yeah.
That's a real.
At those
Across
two
all
pumps.
pump stations, not
About
just
those two, at those two.
Oh,
And
those
then
two.
as we put in new pump and new impellers, and got rid of the backflow valves that weren't working. So
Yeah.
every time you pumped, your stuff would come back in the wet well and we pump it again.
Like Seagate. Did
So we
Seagate
stopped
have
fix-
that?
we
Yeah,
fixed
that
some
was-
of
That
those
was an
too.
old trick. You'd put a hole in the force main line to drain it.
Backweep it.
Yeah.
So-
yeah.
So we
It's
can
an old
freeze.
trick. It's an old trick that's still
Priming-
used.
priming the pump, right?
occasionally. Yeah.
So that's the update on those. We're continuing to work on that.
If I could add to Ed's comments, we are soliciting surveys competitively. And full disclosure, we did solicit Redness and Mead, and I didn't talk to Craig, I talked to their surveying division directly. They do not have the bandwidth to pursue the Stony Brook project. However, they have already compiled at least 90% of the information on Nearwater. So we're in the process of talking to them about a few little additional pieces of work, and we're sure that it's going to be well worth it to go that route, since they already have a leg up. You really only need a property line between the pump station property and the beach, if one even exists. We don't even know, but just so
But
everybody
Darren, I
knows.
think at any time, if somebody's done the bulk of the survey work and there needs to be something, it's common sense to reach out.
And we're
Even
also
if it
going to look at
doesn't
the
have to be-
price and
Yeah.
feel good in the gut about it.
You already have 90%, someone starting from zero, it just doesn't make sense.
You must have a survey though, because that
Yeah.
was Short Lane.
Oh, no, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
and Short Lane was a house. Right? There was
From-
a property line.
No, I'm saying they probably have survey work on all the pump stations from years
Yeah.
of data.
I mean, Parks and Rec came and asked us for permission to put whatever that thing is, destroy the.
They did.
Red-winged blackbird nesting habitat. Really
They did.
drove me crazy.
You can't
They-
make it up. And
It's
I was
just me.
sharpening my chainsaw.
That's just me.
Can't make it
They
up.
did come to you for everything, for the
So they had some mapping.
the parking, they did, and that's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
That- As part of that mapping, our buildings on there, our parking lot, the tanks, the round rooms, so.
And
the-
Darren, if you think moving something faster, 3 competitive bids, time matters too.
Thank you.
So your
Thank you, no.
discretion, totally, about things like that. Don't think conflicts or, complicated. If it needs to
No.
get done and move down the field, the survey is the first step, so just, yeah.
We have time. Everything that we're doing, we set deadlines. They have to give us an answer by a certain time. They have to complete the survey by a certain time. So, but thank you. D,
B.
I'm sorry, B. D is for Darren.
Got it.
I'm
That's
taking-
tonight's
We're
meeting.
really going
E
back
and
to
D.
that.
The title for tonight's meeting, it's D is for Darren. That would be the caption.
We had a plow strike on Stephanie Lane. We cracked the manhole and frame and cover, fixed it in-house, so you might be interested. Baywater Corbin project, letter C. The old Tibbetts building, where the old Tibbetts building was located, the developer's having some trouble connecting that lateral to the new proposed sewer, because the only way they can get to it is to go underneath the 345 kW electrical line installed by Eversource on Corbin.
All where the
They're-
vaults are. Those-
Yeah, they're gonna have to go under it, so they're looking at all, and constantly in contact with us, keeping us in the loop. Directional drill, can we dig under it? What does Eversource say?
God.
So, that's ongoing, hasn't been resolved yet, but,
Could they
It
ever
will
do-
be.
Could they ever do a pump system, some sort of pressure system to the gravity to go over it, or?
It's shallow going over. I think there was a freezing issue.
Got it.
So that's it for that. Back to E. The letter D.
Ease on D.
No, just
Ease on
because,
D.
I'm picturing in my head, the 345 KW is on Old Kings Highway or Corbin?
Both.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they dug up. a
Yeah,
lot of
it comes down Ledge Road, goes down the Post Road, takes a right on Corbin, takes a left on Old Kings Highway South. Directional drilled under the railroad tracks, pops out Mechanic Street parking lot, and gets back onto the
And goes
Post
through
Road.
the fire department property, we got that easement, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so they did all that to avoid going underneath the railroad bridge. They detoured off the Post Road through the center of town.
They were even thinking of going up by New Canaan at one point. It was a big political battle over where that was gonna go.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
D, we have an update on I&I. We did have the presentation back on the 15th of February. Hopefully you folks,
We were there.
you were there. I got an email from Arcadis, wanted to thank the commissioners for being so engaged and asking good questions and things like that, so pass that on to you. We did have a wrap-up meeting again today. Want them to wrap up the report. We do have one or two outstanding items, which I'm gonna touch on in a little bit, but they condensed the schedule for us down to 3 phases. One of the phases being Old Kings Highway South. They also reduced a little bit of the cost, it's down to 4.1 million for those 3 phases. I'm gonna hop to the next one too at the same time, and talk to them better.
Yeah,
If
go
the ARPA
AARP?
funds come through, we're looking to save maybe $900,000 out of that 4.1 million.
Not save, but
Yeah.
get a grant for.
Reallocate those funds, and we won't be spending it out of our bonding,
Mhm.
but we're still gonna be, for phase 3, we're still gonna be about, maybe $1 million short. So I'll have to come back as we get closer to do that last piece to bond another $1 million to do that construction. But it looks like we can do phase 1 and we can do phase 2.
Do we have any reimbursement money, the 55% coming back into that equation?
We do, I already included that, actually had Craig
Back in the envelope?
sign the
That was what was
documents
signed.
today, and they'll go out tomorrow to the DEP
Great.
regarding that funding.
So we're
and
getting 300 and some odd $1,000.
370.
370, okay.
Is that for the study?
Yeah, that's for the soft costs to get us where we are. So that comes back into the budget.
And
That's helpful.
We're hopeful to get the ARPA money still
Yeah.
looking.
there's some IIJA money, you ever heard of that? Infrastructure,
Got government. like
That's
that.
an old
it
program?
just coming out, I have.
Oh, yes, no, yeah, this is the big infrastructure bill that was passed at the end of last year.
Got it.
There is money in there for sewers that is supposed to get distributed to the states,
Mhm.
that the state will then determine how to
So
distribute.
there's a webinar next Wednesday that I'm gonna sit in on. Arcadis is putting it on, talking about how we could get our hands on that money possibly for some of this work.
Maybe try and find out who makes.
Yeah,
that
so it might
decision.
be that we may or may not need additional bonding for this initial 3 phases, depending on that next program.
Yeah, so maybe some of it, maybe we'd only a little bit less, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know I harped on this a little bit on the 15th, I'm gonna harp on it again now. You know, if we go back for more bonding, one of the criticisms we got last time was
Is this enough?
giving them a forecast
Yeah.
for how frequently we might be going back to them and for how much, right? And so, we're talking about these pump stations, we're talking about potential future zones. I think if we have to go back for a second ask for additional bonding, we at least need to couple that with some sort of projection or outline of what other asks might be coming down there. And
I will do my best with that, but you know, with the studies, depending on what we find and how we find it, it will determine about what the costs are gonna be to do the construction or remediation.
When they come up, 2 things, when they
But
come
the
up
pump
with-
stations are an interesting idea to include there.
yeah,
When they come up with these budget numbers, how accurate do they tend to be, and how far out can you go predicting the accuracy?
I asked them that today. I said, is there a little fluff in that?
Yeah,
Your
there should
schedule
be.
and your cost? And they walked me through it. There's a 20% contingency in there.
That's not bad.
No.
Which
Okay.
which is pretty good,
Reasonable,
but,
yeah.
they added in, time to do inspections, they added in inflationary costs at about 5%, I think she said, Darren?
But they're
So,
only-
there's a lot in there that
It is
kinda
it is a
gives
very
a
early
comfort.
estimate. They don't have construction documents yet. Contractors haven't looked at it yet. Yes, they have a lot of experience bidding these types of contracts and seeing what comes back for them, but it could be plus or minus 20% of that number.
And in this environment right now, you
You
don't
don't
know.
know, I know.
So,
Based on our sewer user fees, do we generate any surplus year over year? As we start to see a decline in affluent to Stamford? do we-
I would like to, but sometimes the chairman kind of weighs that.
No, I'm not saying throw a real number
There-
at it, but it's
Oh.
fluctuating.
We tug at
The
that.
whole concept
Listen,
is that there's a return on investment for this money.
Right.
there should be, but when are we gonna see it?
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta pay
Well,
for
I
it
mean, we
now.
have a couple things that went in our favor, like the crossings worked out. When we actually metered the crossings, it was to the good. And we have a 12% or 11.7, whatever that number is with Stanford, is a minimum.
12.
12.
Right now.
And the contract gets renewed 3 years from now-ish? Are we 2 years into a 5-year? I can't.
If I could make it 10, I would.
No, but it's 5-year, right?
It's a 5-year with a 5-year option.
So, so the option.
But it doesn't mean we can amend anything in the contract either as part of the option. All doors are open. I think, when did I sign those, 19?
I think it's 24 is it's up.
24 is the next time it's up, I
It's gonna
believe.
get here so fast. You'll start negotiating next year then, right? It seems like yesterday.
Hopefully that'll go a little smoother than the first
So
one. 'cause we
if
go-
that
Yeah,
goes
that-
well, and if the I&I does, some of our heavy hits, the quick hits, the bang for the buck, start to yield a benefit, we might have a little bit extra.
And they're showing that, phase one is Old Kings Highway, and the update in that is, we're gonna bid that in May, it sounds like. So that's the good news. The bad news is, by the time they're bidding that in construction, they're gonna start the design for phase two. It looks like it may run into the winter months in spring for the construction. Hopefully in time to, see a benefit.
From a budget perspective, what about doing phase two, the construction drawings now, start that sooner? Why wait?
Because I don't know if they're geared to have and take
Okay.
on all that work from us at one time.
Okay.
Well, you heard our direction, which was
Go.
go, yeah. Don't let us be the obstacle of moving forward as quickly as is practical. So if they tell you we can handle more work,
Yeah.
have them do the CDs.
If I could do all 3 phases at one time, I would.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I was talking about the 3 phase, I was talking about as phase one goes out, when do you start designing phase two and how?
They have them
quickly you can
overlapped a little bit.
Yeah.
They do, and they included weather conditions.
But unfortunately, it sounds like we're building phase one in 2022, we're building phase two in 2023, and perhaps building phase three in 2024, which is slower than I want, but, it might be
I
reality.
don't want to get to 2024.
Okay, good.
My
Sounds good.
thing is, once we get going, I push a little bit harder to get them to do some more work, and like everything else in life, it's all about the money.
Yeah.
We're gonna pay you, we'd like you to get this thing done quicker, want to get on the road.
Yeah.
We've tried to pull some stuff out also, there's some, part of the lining usually comes with any spot repairs that need to be done. And what I told them today was, give me those.
Yeah, so
I
you
will
can-
get them
you can
repaired.
just take care of them.
And so now your lining company doesn't have to hire a sub
And they don't have to
and
stop.
charge extra for
Yeah.
the sub. Let us take those. There's maybe 6 locations or something like that, they said.
I like you.
It's not, it's
It's
so
long
there.
day.
What was I gonna say? So, well, let me ask my second question since I forgot my first. Do we need Arcadis or other consultants to look at Nearwater and Stony Brook pump stations in terms of how do we legitimately harden these things moving forward, creating a set of contract documents?
I thought about that. I thought about whether we should bring them back in for those 2 facilities and get their spin on it. I want to get Eversource on the hook first. I want to get the mapping done. I want to get our stuff, let's talk about permitting. What level are you going to make us bring it up to as far as submissions, whether it's be a building permit because we want to maybe raise the roof and raise electrical or whatever it may be. And then I want to bring them in and start talking, okay, this is what we have. This is where we have space, this is where Eversource says we have to put the transformers. Walk us through what you've done in the past. Have you experienced any of this? And I think once I get to a certain point, I'm gonna need some input from a third party. You know, it was great having you out there, it was great talking about these things, but it's always
But
good.
they have 100 times more experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Heavy sewer infrastructure than I do.
Yep, and I. So,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad idea, but I want to
So I
get to
just
a
think
certain point first.
They're gonna have ideas we didn't think of, and they might be good, you know. So.
Well, Eversource is gonna be my lag. They're gonna be the critical path.
Yeah, you wanna get the transformers up and out first, basically is what you're saying.
Yep.
And then take it a piece at a time.
Where are those there at Stony Brook, the transformers?
It's right in the front and left.
Right in front left corner of the building, it's right there. Near water is, if you're looking from.
Short lane
Rolling
side.
Bay.
Yep.
Shrubs.
Yep.
That's right.
You gotta take a wander down and spend it. 1989 was the last time I was in there. I worked for Bob Reith on a summer job.
Bob goes there quite often.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a little roaming. Susan's
Oh,
with
that
me.
was it.
Yes, my back's feeling better. I'm keen to inspect all of the,
We grab one of your guys.
It was fun, I had
Sewer
never been in
truck.
before, I got to go on the Nearwater and Stony Brook one, check them out.
It's neat.
Yeah, it's like an old nuclear
I-
power plant,
Yeah,
all these
it's
dials.
totally
and
It's
things.
a long time ago with EPC.
Go down the stairs.
Yeah.
I wasn't that brave.
The
I
wet
feel like
well.
there's trolls down there.
That's where we keep them.
We, by the end of the year, we will owe Save the Sound a schedule as to when we're going to complete the recommendations that came out of the SSES.
Yes, we will.
And I think we'll know
I'm,
a lot. by the
I
end of the year.
am debating when to show them the report. We can modify it as we go. We can find out that, you know, Old Kings Highway went a whole lot more smoother. We found a good contractor, the design was easier, the bidding conditions were great, and I'm rolling into phase 2 already, so that report could be modified before I send it out.
Yep.
The biggest thing for me is I need to do 8 miles of camera work before
Yes.
December.
Yeah.
So once I get Old Kings Highway going, I'm going to have them help us pick an area in town that either will be beneficial to the next phase or way away from the next phase, so we can start kind of shrinking the town, if you will.
Go from bookend it.
Yeah,
And
so,
do
you
it,
know,
yeah.
so I'm not doing things twice,
Yeah.
but I'm not missing anything either. You
Keep
want,
learning
definitely
each
want to
other's
keep
way.
them involved on where we should kind of go.
Do you think the cameraing is a good bang for the buck? When you do it, you find things, you fix things, it helps?
We found 6 locations,
That's awesome.
and one of them had quite a bit of inflow, or actually infiltration. It
How
looked like it
about-
was a faucet running in the thing, I couldn't tell. All I can tell you is the pipe was distant and the water was just blasting through it,
Wow.
groundwater.
How about Old Kings Highway South?
Yeah,
We
we
wouldn't have
discovered
known
the
about that.
deficiencies there. Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with yes.
Cool.
And, you know, at least doing it one time and find out, you know, where good, where bad, you know, where you need to go more regularly, where you maybe don't need to after you do your full cycle. You know, do I need to video camera, you know, a 20-year-old, you know, PVC pipe section
Now,
of main?
as we do this video, right, we've constructed this GIS system with all the manhole numbers and information. And
Mhm.
are they inputting all these inspection reports and video reports so that they're kind of linked to the GIS system? This pipe was videoed in this year, you know, this manhole was inspected at this time.
I don't know if that's their job to do that or not.
Because that's the,
Scope.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
that's
think it
the
was-
power of the GIS, right, is that
They were teaching us.
we're
how
all
to do that.
gone.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
someone can click on, you know, manhole 123 and say, oh, it was last inspected in 2008, and we improved it in 2010, and,
I think that's gonna be something that they did some training for us with GIS already
Yeah.
to do that.
Yes.
And I think they're gonna give us some more so that our sewer guys can start putting that stuff in and
Do they like
making
it?
updates when they go out and inspect them again.
Do the guys like the GIS? Are they taking to it, or is it kind of?
Guys like the camera work, they like the inspections that were being done, the smoke testing, I think they enjoyed the part of being out there and seeing maybe some of the system they don't normally get to see. I go back to the picture of one of our manholes, and I could barely see a third of it, and there's a tree, and it's gotta be 24 inches in diameter coming out of the side of it. And I go, you guys ever knew we had a manhole here?
Oh, really?
I said, you know, we're gonna have to take care of this eventually, and sooner rather than later. But we haven't had to get access to it. That system works fine, there's no, so we camera from both ends, there's a manhole in the center, and you check the pipe out. It still doesn't need any work, but I'm one of those,
No, it should
infrastructure
be-
should be pristine,
Yeah.
so that tree's gotta come down, that manhole's gotta.
We're not gonna do all this work and spend all this money. So anyway, I think building a system to contain the institutional knowledge is critical.
Absolutely, I agree.
So now there's only one manhole that has the number 1.
We might get there.
That's
Is there more than one?
That's a trick question, right?
That implies that he found 2 number 1s.
No. I know there were more than one number 1.
Could be 6.
All right.
Well, even if it's down to 6, I think there was probably, 100 number 1s?
Oh,
Again,
There was a number of
trick
them.
question. You'll like the numbering system that we have.
So, item F.
Okay.
oh yeah, that's a D.
Mr. D.
AARP?
No, ARPA, that's the
Getting,
grant money.
going northbound onto I-95, right past Penny's building in between I-95, there's a section of sewer there which we believe serves no one. We TV'd it, we have evidence that it does not serve anyone. It's dry, there's no staining. However, there's a break in the pipe. We believe it was caused by the DOT or somebody planted a telephone pole or guy wire. So what we've done, and there's also a portion of the pipe that's not accessible because of these breaks, right? But today we installed the plugs, which we wanted to install finally on both ends of the pipe. And we're gonna leave it like that, just to confirm there's nobody connected, like from the Waring Lane, Leroy extension or something crazy like that. We did go through the files, we didn't find any evidence that anything goes that way, but we're just gonna make sure. And then once we're sure, we'll throw a lump of cement behind that plug and just abandon it so that no longer can stuff leak down through the opening in the pipe and make its way into our sewer system. We'll isolate that section and eliminate any dirt or anything getting into our pipe.
Was that like for houses before the highway went in? 30s?
I guess.
Stop.
Wow.
Is that
You
right?
know,
Road you should go through.
Right.
it's
Yeah.
interesting. When I look at Waring, I think when I first got here, it was called Leroy Extension.
Yeah.
It was.
I thought
Right.
it still was when you.
So before the highway, they line up
They-
perfectly.
They
So
used to go through.
I bet that Leroy, maybe, I don't know if it was then. I just
Buzzy
don't know.
Jordan used to live there.
Yeah?
Yeah. They do.
So,
So, yeah.
a vestige from the past.
And that concludes our
Superintendent's report.
We
superintendent.
clean
Yeah.
those things up.
It is 6:22 PM.
Yes.
Yes.
What, new business?
New
Do we have any new
business.
business?
Bob?
Yes.
New business.
What's the nature of the new business that you would like to introduce?
Uh,
New.
Do we need a
Let's do
motion?
it.
We do.
You have it.
One of them is 147 Woodway.
Okay. I know nothing about 147.
You sure do. We were talking about it for quite some
370 Hoyt
time.
is right
White
next
Street
door.
Way. It's the-
You're
Oh,
budding property.
oh, okay. I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, so motion to go into new business to discuss 147 Woodway.
I'll move that.
Okay, seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are in new business to discuss 147 Woodway.
Okay. I'm assuming there's not a proper as-built for that location. So as been our past practice is to ask the person to camera the line and have the person who cameras the line submit an as-built of the sewer line.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion on requiring the homeowner at 147 to submit an as-built and camera
Request.
video request, submit an as-built video inspection of their sewer line? Does that sound reasonable to you, gentlemen? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Is he on paying a sewer charge?
147.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they checked
Yeah.
the other three in the subdivision as soon as they found this one.
No, I was gonna say, I didn't wanna go there.
No, I went there last month.
The applicant tonight was, she was.
Any
on
other
it.
new business?
Yes,
6:23.
That was quick. That was 2
That
minutes.
was quick.
but we could we wait?
Go for it. What is
Go
it?
for it.
All right. Yeah, it concerns, I'll say, large-scale
Policies.
projects and policy.
Okay. We have a motion to go into new business to discuss when the sewer commission is brought matters by staff.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor is going into new business?
Yep.
Okay, we're in new business.
I believe that just, if nothing else than to affirm the decision of staff, I think we should be included, and I actually think we should vote during projects that increase the usage by more than 8 units or are standalone 8 units.
I'd rather just a discussion, not have a.
I'm just
number of
throwing a
units.
number out there. It's
Maybe
not a
just
motion. It's just that.
significant or,
Well, then you have to define significant.
no, you know,
Yes, you
when
do.
you see it.
That's
like
why I'm
something
saying a number. But I mean,
Yeah.
it could come to us and we could have read the paperwork and just say, can we have a vote? Okay, it takes us 5 minutes. So I do believe it's easier if there's
But
a
it could be-
standard.
It could be a store. Doesn't necessarily be residential. It could be,
What if you convert a liquor store to a
right,
restaurant? Which
right.
one uses
It's
more
the
water?
percentage of use. How about whenever the water service needs to be increased?
So that's an interesting tie with our current regulation that assigns
Okay. I could go
connection fees, right? That We made sure in our regulations, talking about connection fees, to define intensification of use.
Yep.
And it was when a property or building needed a larger
Water service.
water service.
So that would be the
Therefore,
triggering
it would
event.
be more.
That's fine. I didn't,
Or a new service. I mean,
that didn't
other-
come to mind.
Right,
That's why we put this out, to
Well, we
get
said
everyone's idea.
You could replace a 2 with a 2, and that doesn't require a connection.
Right, right,
So that was
exactly.
not
You
an
need a-
intensification of use as far
A
as.
new
our-
house from zero, from vacant
Right,
land.
but new
would-
service,
Would
yeah.
be.
Oh, new service from
Right,
0.
from-
Right,
from
right,
zero.
Not necessarily, not a replacement service.
Yeah.
Not a replacement, no, brand
Any
new.
increase of
Which
water
is an
service.
increase.
Well, let's,
I mean-
I don't, go ahead.
I mean, because some of those could be almost a paper stamp. I mean, we see it and
It's
it goes
like
right
for life,
along.
yeah.
But just us being involved, I think reaffirms that the astute decisions that staff makes and also keeps us educated about what's going on about
There's a
about
process
there.
with wetland permits in some towns. They call them administrative reviews, right? So an applicant has to provide all sorts of information, but because of the nature of the work, they're put in an administrative review category, which isn't necessarily getting the approval of the agency, right? Those would be different applications with more disturbance. And but they'd still be listed on an agenda and say, these were the administrative
Yeah.
matters we handled this month.
Could be
Any
quick
questions
retreat.
about any of those? If not, let's vote to move them along, this kind of thing. This seems like a complex enough issue that I don't want to necessarily put a motion out tonight. I think
Okay,
this is
that's
something.
fine.
No,
that
it should
we-
be an agenda item.
Yeah, I think we should think about it, maybe look at our regs again, maybe
Yeah.
look at that language again, give staff the opportunity to think about what is the right threshold of all the sewer permits they're dealing with, how frequently do they want to come to us, so.
Well, I think it's something the public from this board should be able to,
Yeah,
interact with.
I don't disagree with the
at some
sentiment,
point.
I don't disagree with the goal. I think it's a good idea, I just think how we codify it.
I don't have a problem with that. I
administratively is
just
important.
kind of wanted to
Yeah.
Yeah,
throw something out to bounce. That's all. It wasn't meant as a motion. It was more meant as just a
Let's start
starting
talking about
point.
this. Yeah, good, I agree. Okay, so it'll be on the agenda next time for further discussion. Good.
Did you hear that, Darren?
I don't know,
So we're gonna put this as an agenda item for April.
yes.
Yes, please.
And,
Very good.
and, yeah, maybe include in our packets that, the text about connection fees, because I
Yeah.
think it might be
The
relevant.
triggering moment.
And then, your thoughts on how the administrative burden of bringing us stuff. I think that's important too. We want to get the right balance.
Okay.
Okay. Any other new business?
No, I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Well done.
I'll second.
There's no reason to hesitate.
6:29, we are adjourned. Thank you, Channel 79, for your diligence in recording our town meetings and improving public engagement.